What's next? Let us not rest on our laurels. Next is going to be these the Iron Hand, and then the clan badge on his right. Chapters in the Iron Hands, at least in the original Legion, different units are broken up into clans. So this is a Legion, Horus Heresy are a Legion marking. I don't know quite how they brought it into 40k. I'm not up on my Iron Hands lore, but base code game color Somber Gray. Thank you, Texture Brush. You have performed your duty well. Excellent work this evening. Apologize, my voice is definitely getting scratchy. So, yeah, that looks nice. See, now that black wash is totally dried, and now that leather holster just looks cracked and old. Perfect. Well, that'll look good. I'm excited. That'll look good across the army. So now we're going to go in and we're going to pick out the shoulder details. Then we're going to do just an overall base coat with this Somber Gray. And that reference image thing is something I do, going back to that real quick while I'm doing this base coat. That's something I do before I start painting anything, really. Unless, of course, unless it's something I've already done or I've already have a scheme for. It's really hard to just come up with stuff off the top of your head. Which I also do, I don't. But you can take little elements. You can look at kind of what different people did, or if it's a piece of art. Artists that make codex art and stuff like that have sometimes more leeway than the miniature painters, or not more leeway, but they have artistic license, or they drew some, or even if it's just like fan art that somebody made that has a different scheme or has some different heraldry or something that could be really interesting that you can use somewhere. So or there's stuff like when I was painting Sanguinius, which if you look at my Instagram or Facebook, you can see pictures of that finished model. I'm very proud of. When I was painting Sanguinius, and I really wanted to do well on his face, I really wanted to push myself and paint his face like as well as I could. In a somewhat reasonable amount of time. I think overall his face took me a couple hours to do, but that it wasn't 20. So I went and found a gallery of a Sanguinius that was painted really, really well. His face was painted really, really well. And I had that up on the computer screen as I was painting his face as a reference of where to deepen shadows, where to work contrast and stuff like that. And just looking at how that person did it to kind of give me a guideline to go on. Obviously, I still had to put paint on the model, so it's not a life hack, but it's really helpful for me that I don't feel like I have to figure out how to paint faces, I don't have to spring from the forehead fully formed. I don't have to just know that. I can reference somebody that has done it, even if it's not the same model. So and I always, I like looking up. I like other painters. I follow. What am I trying to say? There are a lot of very, very, very talented painters out there doing crazy stuff. And it's, I like getting inspired by other painters and checking out what they're doing and, hey, how did you get that effect? Or, it's just fun to talk painting and just admire other people's work and get inspired and incorporate little bits here or there to make your own thing. So, and then there's always, GW does great representations of these models. Okay, we're not. Let's come back and. I was trying to save the somber gray, but I think we're going to come back and we're going to do. I think we're going to do a little. We're going to use a little bit of that black red that we used for painting the bolter casing to kind of pick out some elements in the shoulder insignia to do the shading and stuff. And that way we can kind of tie those elements together. So I'm not worried about the somber gray. The somber gray did its job. It gave us a nice base coat for the wolf gray. Ooh, too close. Move that back a little bit. I'm going to get the palette out of the background too, now that we're not really going to be using that. And like I said, when you're, if you're stuck on a color or something and you can sketch out a color and you can see it in person, or you can just look the model up and see what that looks like. If it's close to the box art or something, you can always just look at it. Oh no! No. Come on. Oh, thank God. Okay. So what happened was I just got a little squirrely with the brush and got a little bit of that wolf gray on the shoulder pad. Not ideal. Yeah, I'm not touching that. Thankfully, I still have some of that burnt iron from way back when we did the eye lenses like an hour ago. I'm not quite sure how that's. So if you look like right there. Oh, where is it? Where is it on camera? It's all shiny now. Right there is a little bit of wolf gray. So what I did was I just, here we go. And it's gone. So what I did was I just so quickly got the water off the brush and then just kind of worked it on the pad to rub off, really just rubbing off the paint. But a little was left behind. So now I'm going to take this Secret Weapon Blue Black, and this is the same way that we painted the bolter casing. So you can see on the bolter casing, it has a little bit of that bluish, especially on the top there, has a little bit of that blue effect. That's intentional. Use a blue black. And then we're going to do a targeted, we're going to pin wash these elements carefully. We don't want to do an overall wash with this because the white is going to struggle to cover this. So we want to be careful. And just get, so there's one here too, crevice here. So this is thinned down. We're being careful because this is going to shade wherever we put it. That white is, or that wolf gray is so light. So now you can see we've kind of developed those shapes on the hand. Yeah, leather's cool. So then we'll come and we will shade just like the bottom of this here and kind of the bottom of these clan markings. And just get a little bit of shadow there. Because this is going back into shadow. This is going to be like pure black here. And then you can see the top of the shoulders a little. Where's that black? Where's that thin black? There it is. So I'm taking that black ink and I'm gonna glaze over that burnt iron. I'm not super happy with that. That'll work out with the satin varnish. But one of the things that makes this kind of metallic scheme difficult with the armor like that, where we're doing like the metallic base coat and then we do a clear coat of ink, do an ink glaze over it. One of the things that's so challenging about doing that scheme is it's extremely hard to touch up. It is tough to touch up that scheme. So then we're going to take this white and then we're going to go in here. And this is where we are going to be careful. Now we are going to oil wash this model. So if we're not 100% successful with this white and we hit some crevasse somewhere, it's not going to be the end of the world. We want this to be even. We want this to be well defined. We are going to come back and oil wash the dickens out of this model. So, but we want that shadow to be uniform. We want it to be the same tone and the same color throughout. So pick out the thumb. Yeah, come on. There we go. That looks pretty good. Looks alright. Where doesn't it look good? And why doesn't it look good there? Those little nubs on the hand are just giving me problems. So I think I'm just gonna leave them where they're at. I think if I try and mess with those little knuckle protrusion things, I think it's just gonna mess me up. Yeah, see, I already messed up. Okay, we'll leave that alone now. Might go back with that blue black and just define it a little bit more, but I think I'm okay. What if we did a little bit? I don't love how dark that shadow is. Like how different that is. What if we did a little highlight on the inside edge? That looks like one of the evil coconuts in Moana. Is what that looks like now. The little like Kakamora in Moana, or maybe like kind of it's like a cross between the Moana coconuts and like Kodama from Miyazaki, right? The forest, little like tilting head forest things. Kodama, what are those things called? From I think Spirited Away. Hey, good night. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Always good to see you. They're called Kodama. I think they're in Spirited. I think they're in Totoro and Spirited Away. Now that I think about it. Man, I haven't watched those in a while. I might have to watch those again. I think my kids are old enough for those. I really want. I mean, you would get an effect from an all over electric blue oil wash. You would for sure get an effect. I don't know if it's an effect that you would want, but it would be an effect. So, I really want my daughter to watch Princess Mononoke.